We got a situation. That's fair to say, isn't it?
That's fair to say.
We got a little situation. Hey, welcome in everybody. 3 guys before the game. This has never happened before. 560 episodes in. This never happened.
First time.
First time for everything, right? Okay, I'll explain what I'm talking about here. So, if you really pay attention to this program, and you're a regular watcher listener, you're going to notice something. You're going to wait a second. Those guys struggling a little bit. Why do they have the same clothes on as as episode number 500?
Because that's never happened. We've never gone back-to-back episodes, same shirt. Have not done that.
No, we haven't.
Great.
Because something happened in our last episode, which is officially 559, Brian Jozwiak. Something happened. And I'm going to tell you what happened. But first, let me tell you this. Episode 560 of 3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They happen to be the dudes and the dudettes of business systems in the state of West Virginia, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient. For 25 years, the premier business systems company, and they do so much from business equipment to monitoring your IT and a whole lot more. It's ComaxWV.com. 3 Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St Albans. They don't sell sails boats, but they do Lou Wendell Marine Sales. They got pontoons, they got boats. They're the folks. 40 plus years in the business, award-winning Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St Albans. Anything to do with pontoons, they happen to be the premier pontoon boat dealer in our state. Visit them at LouWendellMarineSales.com. 3 Guys also brought to us by GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Get that rewards card and save millions of dollars by using that card on food and fuel. Give or take $1.
Plenty of snacks in there for all your travels.
Drinks, cold drinks. All right, so here's the deal, man. Here's what happened. You know, if everything always just happened the same old, then this would just become a same old show, right?
It's part of the beauty of this.
Fair.
There's really no guardrails. There's no rules. We just go.
Yeah, what do cool people say? It's a really granular show, man. Like, it just goes in different directions, man. So what happened was we released our Brian Jozwiak episode last week, on Wednesday of last week. And what happened was we hadn't done textual healing since June the 3rd. And so our plan was do Brian for a bit, like an hour-ish, whatever it turned out to be, and then go into textual healing, which is what we did.
Right.
We did do that.
Right.
We were Boy Scouts, true to our honor. We said, okay, Joe's, thanks very much. He was fantastic. He takes off, and we go into textual healing. That was all planned. What we didn't know or understand or realize is that textual healing basically became its own show. It went really long.
Had a bunch of them, a bunch of really good ones.
A month's worth, a lot of pictures, really good stuff.
Covered a lot of different ground.
Tons of stuff, funny stuff, Mountaineer Connection stuff.
Great pictures.
Jerry West stuff. So what happened was the thing went, by the time we added up the 2 shows, the Jozwiak and then the textual healing, it basically was as long as Roots.
Maybe longer.
Really. So it was like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And so we have a very, very highly skilled production group that comes in and says, hey, fellas, 210, they might like you, but I don't think they want to live with you. And so what we did is, in legal terms, we bifurcated the show. Right? Our lawyers just got a little smirk out there that are listening. We cut it in half. So we made Joe's, the episode that we released last week, its own separate show. It was good enough as a standalone.
Really good.
And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the textual healing part on this show. So it's different. It's unique. It's us. It's fun. And so we're going to play textual healing in the references that you hear later in the show when we start asking ourselves the question, hey, man, like, how long is this? I got to go. So you might be looking and go, well, you guys have only been on for like 50 minutes. Actually, Does that make sense?
I think, but I lived through it, so I hope you made sense there to listeners.
Yeah. The numbers eventually will tell us if you guys go like, I'm out. So it doesn't matter. So anyway, long story short, hope you enjoy this episode of Three Guys Before the Game, the Textual Healing version. And our summer series continues. Here's the wild thing, right? So like we're down to like the most 3 weeks of Textual Healing of summer series, because like football is running around the counter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Hope you've enjoyed it. Textual Healing line remains open, 304-404-4083, 304-404-4083. What do you think? If you like the episode, that's great. If you don't, blame somebody else. Maybe by the next time we come on, it will be the third guy might be back around too.
Yeah, I wouldn't promise that.
Wouldn't promise that. All right.
We're out.
Let's roll our fancy bean video. Textual Healing, Three Guys Before the Game. That's right, man. Textual Healing. We have not done this in a month. I went back and I looked at the Textual Healing messages, and June 3 was the last time, kind of sort of, that we did Textual Healing. Textual Healing is brought to us by episode800.com. You should check out that website. It's got all of our stuff there, including our award-winning coffee from Mountaineer Roasting. It's called Game Day Grind. Check that out. All of our apparel is available there. And I think, has our antifreeze been in there? I think we're moving toward winter antifreeze. Is that available on the
Efforting.
We're trying to get that on there as well. And also, we are we're 2 months away, just a little under 2 months away from the start of football season. Going to do the food court again.
Don't start. Efforting. It's still in the efforting stages.
This will be the biggest food. This will be year 2 of the food court, and we are expanding it. We figured out.
Just stop. It's July 3rd. We've got some time to do. Don't oversell it again.
Overselling.
I think you're right, though. It will be the biggest one yet.
Let me just say this. Last year we did it on Fridays, Saturdays. We might do a little something special for Penn State.
That's fair.
Might do a multiple.
That's fair.
Multiple day.
Yeah.
For that. I was telling the folks while you were helping Joe's out of here, we haven't done this in a month.
What?
Textual Healing.
Is that right?
June 3rd.
Well, we got another hour and a half of the show here. Is there a lot stored up?
So
I
will say this, that not all of the texts that have come in since then have been used, because a lot of them are like super dated, like talking about why did they take this pitcher out of the baseball game. It's going, okay, fine. That ship has sailed. So we are going to get into some of these, and there's a product as well. Hey, keep this in mind. As I said earlier, it is the travel time of the year. Be safe this 4th of July weekend and for the rest of the summer. And when you do travel, obviously, Brad, you know what? You're going to need fuel at some point, unless you're one of those electric car people.
You need snacks, too.
You need snacks? This is a great snack time of the year. Great snack time of the year. Visit Gomart. Get a rewards card from Gomart. Go to Gomart.com or download the app. Every time you go in, save money on fuel, save money on food. Check them out. And some of those days during the week, they have these triple rewards points. So you go in there on the right day, and you get triple points. You ready?
Let's roll.
Frank writes from Clarksburg. 3 guys, couple of ideas. Tony, when you are talking to a guest, there's no need to say, this conversation is going to go in multiple directions. By definition, 3 guys goes into multiple directions, although I was impressed that during Coach Jen Greeny's visit, everything did stay on the rails. We're pretty much stayed in course with her.
Well, her first appearance knew we were trying to make a good impression.
Exactly. Didn't want to make us seem like we were crazy. By the way, her dad who she mentioned, basketball coach for
Right.
years in the state of Washington.
Right.
He sent me a book that he wrote about the history of basketball in Washington State.
Huh.
Dude, like, you know, some people say, hey, I wrote a book, and it's more like a pamphlet. This book is unbelievable. It's like 999 pages, hardbound.
Oh, my.
And it's about this book, big. It's huge.
Huh.
And I got to get there's pictures. He did everything, boys and girls. Couple of pictures of her when she played.
Right.
Remember, she was a top 5 player in the country.
Nationally, elite.
She had a vertical, like she is like up. And they diagrammed an inbounds play that they used constantly with her.
Like lob one up to her.
Lobbed it. She catches it
before the time.
She catches it like right left of the lane, like mid lane, and she is up with it, and she's like,
which is also why she became a great volleyball player.
I looked at the picture. I did some calculations. Her vertical was like about 62 inches, give or take, unconfirmed. Texter, the Always a West Virginia Connection post here. I saw this sign in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Charles Wesley Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the marquee there. Hey, guys. Ted from Warrenton, Virginia, also known as the train guy who has not stopped listening, but I haven't texted in a long while.
Well, that's good because you thought maybe you made him mad.
It wouldn't be the first. Light summer football question. Can you give me an estimate of how many away venues that you've been to over your lifetime? Can you tell us your top 3? And last, if you could pick 3 that you haven't been to, what would they be? Okay, this will make people mad. I've always thought Virginia Tech was just a fantastic atmosphere. They rock.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Georgia. I did Georgia, Tennessee for Westwood One Radio. Heath Schuler's first start as a freshman, as a quarterback. Hines Ward played at Georgia. Between the hedges, that was a big boy. I did Tennessee, Alabama. It's for real in Knoxville.
At Tennessee.
At Tennessee, I did both. I did in Birmingham once too. Those are, and I'm just giving you places that we don't normally go to. But I will tell you this, and this is totally prejudice. Mountaineer Field is for real. Mountaineer Field is for real. Like, don't just think that's just like an institutional, we just think it's a good stadium. Mountaineer Field is for real when it gets cranked up. As good as there is.
You've been to more than I have, as I haven't traveled much in the last decade. I'll give you 3. And there must be a theme with me. Didn't realize this till I jotted these down. Got a theme. LSU was one.
Mm-hmm.
They bring that tiger out and parade that thing around.
Absolutely.
Colorado, which now back in the league. That Buffalo running, I've told that story before. We don't have time to do it today. I'll tell it later. That Buffalo running, man, is...
Does he run or does he just drag people?
Yeah, he's running. The guys with him are getting drug along there.
Yeah.
And then Auburn was pretty cool that night. Had a big delay. The only thing with Auburn, we didn't see the eagle fly that night.
Yeah. Grounded due to rain.
Grounded due to rain. I must like live animal mascots.
You do.
Tiger, buffalo, and an eagle. Although we didn't get to see the eagle. Those 3 are pretty good.
Yeah.
Non-conference type.
I've done
Colorado back in.
I tell you what, I did Florida State Miami once, and that horse comes on that field, plants that flaming spear. That's
cool.
That's a for real.
We saw that at the Gator Bowl as well.
Yeah.
They brought it out there.
Yeah. Texter says, I just recently made a 20-hour drive with a trailer and 3 animals from Morgantown to Houston.
Oh.
I officially left the state I was born in and raised in, and now I have become a Texas resident, and I'll be working at NASA Johnson Space Center. It's going to be weird not being around a bunch of Mountaineers. I'm going to have to rely on the occasional West Virginia connection I wanted, and I'll be relying on you 3 clowns. Hoping listening to you all will be some medicine to my eventual homesickness. Signed by rocket scientist Josh from Houston, Texas, who owns land in Monongalia County. We wish you well. I hope you aspire to one day be that person at the Johnson Space Center. You know, that person I always wanted to be at the Johnson Space Center, although I've never had any aspiration to be an astronaut. I did want to have the one job I wanted to be the countdown guy. 10, 9, 8, 7, Engines have started. I like that. That was always a good one. We have liftoff. That'd be kind of neat. By the way, a little bit slighted by Jozwiak. Didn't ask me to be the live auctioneer.
No, must have somebody else. He probably does that.
Wonder who does that.
He probably just handles it.
You think he does it?
Probably handles it.
Gentlemen, I was at this past weekend's Pirates Blue Jays series in Toronto, tongue click, sporting my WV Fiesta Bowl champion jacket, of course. I went to order a drink from the bartender, who proceeded to look at my jacket and then down at my ID before asking, you a Mountaineer? I replied that I was and was graduating next year. He then told me that he was born in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, but had gone to high school in Belmore, New York with Amos Zaraway. He went on to share several stories about famous Amos and his affinity for culinary arts even at a young age, and explained that while he hasn't yet made it to West by God, Virginia, he cheers for the Mountaineers because of Amos. Goes to show that even our neighbors to the north, always a West Virginia connection. Yeah, Canadians are great people. You know, I don't think we take into consideration how lucky we are to have a country that we border that has nice people in it. You know, it doesn't exist everywhere. I mean, you ever stop and realize that, Brad? I mean, there's a lot of countries that border other countries that hate each other. Like, you know how lucky we are to have Canada? It's like, what's up? What's up with you? We're all good, right? Glenn from Scott Depot here. Brad, you in or out on this? Moth Man root beer. Would you drink Moth Man root beer?
I do like root beer.
Would you drink it with that Moth Man on it?
I got a note from the Moth Man.
Excuse me?
I got a note by mail. Showed up from the Moth Man.
What do you mean by that?
I got a note.
To your mailbox at home?
No, it came here.
And what did it say?
I don't remember. I'll pull it out here in a minute. I still got it.
Was it good or bad?
No, it was nice. Just saying, Happy West Virginia Day.
From him?
From the Moth Man. Purportedly from the Moth Man.
Okay. Hey, 2 guys, but hopefully 3. This is Jordan from Houston. I've traveled around the world. I've had many, always a West Virginia connection experiences, but today, for me, was close to Zach Frazier Baylor game level. Remember Zach ran off the field?
Sure.
Attached is a picture of another tourist and I that my family and I met in the DMZ in Korea.
Where?
Korea. In the DMZ. His son attended WVU and he was in shock and started laughing when he saw him pointed at my shirt with the old gold flying W. Now, this is at the DMZ in Korea. The son and I then gave each other a Let's Go Mountaineers, and I ran back onto our tour bus. I also picked up a bag of DMZ black bean chocolate. Picture attached. Look at that DMZ chocolate bar. I got a chocolate bar from Korea, from the community grocery store, that I'm going to send to you guys when I'm back stateside. It's good stuff, Tony. Please share it.
Yeah, thank you for putting please share.
What was his name? Jordan. Was it the DMZ sees another Mountaineer?
Well, that's a good one.
Well, guess what?
That's a first for us on this show.
The DMZ chocolate has arrived.
Did you eat it yet?
I didn't open it because I wanted to save it for you because, as you know, I share everything that we get.
This is stunning that it made
Dude,
it.
we are about to eat chocolate from Korea called, didn't open really well. All right, buddy, we're eating it. This came from Korea, dude, the DMZ.
DMZ, no less.
Oh, it's got nuts in it, which I do like.
Or does it have beans in it?
I don't want to throw it because it could waste it. Come on.
Well, just put it out. I'll walk over. Put it.
It's black. It's black bean chocolate from Korea. I'm saying, based upon its appearance,
How's it smell?
really good. It would be similar to a Mr. Goodbar. It's got the height, the look, and the nuttage of a Mr. Goodbar. I'm going in.
Mr. Goodbar.
Oh hell! Look at that, dude. They're literally, look inside of it. There's literally is black beans.
I know you said nuts. I thought it was beans. I wouldn't normally put the beans with the chocolate.
Dude.
That doesn't sound good.
Dude.
This is pretty good.
That's really good.
That's a first.
First time I've ever eaten chocolate from Korea with black beans in it. It's really good. I would like, if I were to buy a candy bar, I would go to a store and buy that.
That's pretty good. The crunch is nice.
A lot of crunches because there's nuts and beans.
Is there nuts? You keep saying nuts. I think it's the beans.
Unless the skin comes off the black bean, does that turn into a nut?
That was good.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Who's that from, Jordan?
So the black bean is
Thank you,
actually a nut. You take the chocolate, you take the black off, it's a bean. Let me tell you something. I've been around. I know candy. That's really good.
Might be hard to get, though. Might be hard for us to get.
Save some of that for your girls. Your girls eat it?
Probably.
Thank you very much. That was awesome, dude.
Good story, too.
Jeff from Edwards, California. Hopefully this is my last text from California, as my family and I will be relocating to North Carolina soon. It'll be our third move in the past few years, so I'm hoping we're there for a while, as my daughter will be starting her freshman year of high school this fall. However, when you're active duty, that's just part of life. I really look forward to being closer to home and also excited to be back on the Eastern Standard Time. I hope my wife and I will be back to make it at least to one Mountaineer game, as she's never been to a Mountaineer game. I've tried to tell her that going to a Mountaineer game is one-of-a-kind game day experience, and it's really hard to explain. You have to be there. She's from Indiana. Keeps comparing it going to Purdue games. Anyway, one last thing. I really liked those football season review videos that were narrated by Jack Fleming and later by Tony. I would like to see those make a comeback.
Those were fun.
They really were fun. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, like they would recap the whole year. And Jack, and they were written like old school style, right? It was the first day of September, and the sunny skies were awaiting the Mountaineers as they kicked off the 1979 season. I don't know why the tenor or the intonation back then was like, why did we talk like that? And lo and behold, there he was, Don Nehlen, the first head coach in 1980. So they used to do those whole recaps, but now today, because of social and because technology, like they just produce those like 2 or 3 days later, and that's, I guess you could merge all of those. But yeah, those were neat.
They were neat. Remember the All Access one?
That was really
good.
That
was revolutionary before Hard Knocks ever became a thing.
You know who was centrally involved in producing that? Danny Lohman.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of work.
That was way ahead of the game for getting microphone access.
Mm-hmm. Don
Nehlen has a great line in that halftime of the Syracuse game of that year. And he says, hey, he's got the team all around him in the locker room. Isn't this just great? Isn't just what we wanted, just what we were looking for? He goes, isn't this a great game? He goes, what do you want to do, go play Tiddlywinks? WVU Hall of Fame question. Are assistant coaches eligible? I was thinking of longtime successful assistants like Dave McMichael, Bill Legg, Jeff Castile. Also, what about other assistants like Brad Howe? Wants to put you in as an administrator.
Thank you.
No one could sell Coca-Cola ads like him.
Thank you.
Or Jeff Jenkins, who's gone on from equipment manager to vice president of news, like him. I love the show. Keep them longer. I work out while I'm listening, and when it's over, I go home. So longer is better. I got a request today from my son.
Excuse me?
Big Mike?
Yeah.
He said, hey, when's the next Three Guys? And I said, we're recording this afternoon. He goes, when was that going to be out? I said, I don't know, like 3:30, 4 o'clock. He goes, okay. I said, why, what's up? He says, well, where I take the dog to get groomed now is an hour and 10 away.
What?
Well, you know that.
He drives his dog an hour 10 one way to get groomed?
You know which dog I'm talking about.
That big giant thing?
The horse.
It's like a damn near horse, yeah.
It's the small horse.
Yeah.
I don't even know he lets him ride in a car. He just has a horse trailer.
Yeah, that's probably
that he
true.
brings him in on. So he said they moved.
He's in a major city. He can't get somebody closer?
Well, I understand, but he said the dog groomer moved, and he goes, now it's an hour 10 away.
Well, that's not sustainable.
Well, that's why I get it. But he needed something long, so we took care of him. His dog's like a horse. He's a great dog, Wilson, but he slobbers. They got to keep like a beach towel around just to like get the, like, oh no.
And he's got a 2-hour commute to get a haircut and a bath?
We were over there a couple weeks ago. He's got my little guy, Luca, right? He's 3, working on 3.5, heading toward 4. We're on the back deck. He comes over, and like I wasn't paying attention. He comes over. Dog was over there on the other side. Luca comes over. My man, Luca, he's just got like mucus. Just a big ball of mucus just like hanging off of his arm.
This is from Wilson the dog.
Yeah, and Joan says, oh, she said, Wilson got you, didn't he? And like Luca's coming over like
he had the arm frozen,
had
right?
the arm like frozen, like
yeah.
looking at it like he's got just like this massive, like 1.5 pounds of just Wilson mucus on him. That's the only problem. He's a good dog, but he's got some. Well,
it's not the only problem. Going an hour and 10 one way is a bit of an issue.
Hey man, it's not like you can bring him to Petco. This is a big dog. They got to have price by a pit crew.
Major city.
I understand. He might have to reassess that. Hey, Tony Senator Hanky Boy. This is Mississippi Gary with a West Virginia connection. I told you before, I grew up across the street from Bill Stewart, and I went to school with Jeff Castile. Well, Sunday, I went to Old Bethel Church in Belmont, Mississippi. I met Mr. and Mrs. Dale Leslie, the mother and father of our defensive coordinator, Jordan Leslie, and we had a West Virginia love fest. Let's go, Mountaineers. 2024, we reached the ceiling, not the floor. It's always,
that's a good one.
I'll tell you what, Old Bethel Church in Belmont, Mississippi sounds serious, doesn't it?
It's been around for a while, you think?
Yeah, I do. I just think the Old Bethel Church in Belmont, Mississippi, chances are they don't have a worship team. I just think they get down to business right there. There's no there's no precursor there. They just kind of bring it. Texter says, hello! I haven't heard that in a while, he said. While you 3 were back home in Morgantown, Jolie and I met the 4th anonymous guy of your podcast at a top secret, undisclosed, woolly location. Mm-hmm. You have a better chance of finding the umpire's strike zone during Game 2 of the Super Regional than finding this place. During this very important meeting, we discussed improvements to the 3 Guys food court coming in the fall. Hope all is well. Looking forward to the summer series. Best, Brandon and Jolie in New York City. There they are.
Awesome.
So our guy Dave, who we often refer to on this show, that's actually his real job. He works for a company that does things with a lot of fleeces. Woolly. Hey, 3 Guys, just checking in to tell you that your heated debate on Sportsline over Joey Chestnut's ban is peak radio. Please put, do you tune in to watch someone throw a hot dog down at the buzzard on your next T-shirt? P.S. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I texted you on the 30th of July of last year to tell you that the Big 12 was changing its name. See the attached photo if it comes through. We got bad cell service in Pennsboro, or scroll up. So if you do read that text, which you can if you're watching it, basically he did say, I guarantee you the Big 12 will sell the name of the league. That's signed by Pete in Pennsboro.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about the All-State 12 conference name? What's the best, worst sponsor name? Marcus from Charlotte, formerly from Preston County. I don't know, man. Brad doesn't have a problem with it. My deal on these conference names is that I don't have a problem with it if it sounds cool. But you're not going to be able to hit cool all the time. I think some of them are going to just sound like stupid.
It's going to sound weird. No, my issue with it was, remember, I sold that kind of stuff, so it'd be disingenuous to me to say I'm not in favor of that stuff. But the $3 million or 2.7 per school seemed a little light. The flip side is, if they're giving you, quote, free money, take it. The Big 12 name is certainly outdated given the 16 teams. It's weird. So of all the things going on, it's one of those, there's almost change fatigue, I think, that sets in. You know, if this had been one of those things where there's not much change and you're trying to change this, I think there'd be a lot of outcry. I think now there's just so much change and the thing's reinventing itself. It's just like, okay, man, you want to change the name of the league, change the name of the league. Go get some extra money, fine.
You're right, and we chatted about this either on the air or we chatted about this off the air yesterday. because there's such change that's going on and is about to go on, I think administrators and even conferences that have been holding back of doing things that they wanted to do in fear of getting a lot of pushback, I think you're going to see a lot of things now get whacked and changed, and they're just going to shrug their shoulders and go like, hey, man, we have to find a way to produce this money to revenue share. So like, sorry, but we're not doing this anymore. Where in the past you would get absolutely attacked on, now it's going to be, hey, man, we got to do it.
Think about this. Those in our industry that do what we do in June and July, had this come up 10 years ago, a name change to a conference, it would have been the top story and chewed up how many hours of network time all across the country, big stations, small stations, all kinds, because you need stuff to talk about, right? This was really, I was a little bit surprised at the shoulder shrug collectively for everybody on this. I didn't hear a lot of people screaming and hollering about this. They're just like, okay, whatever. Want to take the money, change the name.
Yeah, I think that's where we're about to go.
Change on.
That's what we're going to do. This is a Jerry West text. I was a freshman at West Virginia. Jerry was a senior. I met him once through another player, Jim Ritchie. I was impressed by how humble and respectful he was. For all of his extraordinary achievements, my favorite memory of it was this. 1960, West Virginia hosts Villanova, a matchup of top 10 teams at the Fieldhouse. At that time, West Virginia sports were not integrated, nor were any of the other schools in the Southern Conference. The old Fieldhouse packed to the rafters, fever pitch, especially after the unfortunate customary playing of Dixie by the West Virginia pep band. Villanova's star player was Hubie White, an African-American sophomore who was playing in about his 8th college game. When they lined up for the opening tip, Jerry and Hubie were on the opposite sides of the center jump circle. Without making a big spectacle of it, Jerry walked around to the other side of the circle to shake hands with Hubie, and then resumed his position so that the game could begin with the opening tip. That moment told me all I needed to know about what kind of a person number 44 was. Signed by Max from Missouri. That's a great story.
That is a great story.
And you forget about it, right? Because even though that was 64 years ago, it still, to me, just blows my mind that was in existence back then. Like, I was born in 62. So, like, it was just starting to wind to a degree, wind down. So I never knew of the separation that existed because it was just starting to end. But when I look at it and know that it was only, like, in 60, that was still in existence, blows my mind.
Yeah, it was a good story.
Texter, I read a few weeks ago that the Big 12 is wanting to introduce Hollywood NBA seats on the floor. I'm not a big NBA guy, so I'm really not sure what that means. How exactly would that affect the seating at the Coliseum? Are they going to kick you out of your spot, Tony? Adam in Bridgeport. Well, I got a gazillion thoughts on that. And it goes back to what we just said. I think everything's off the table. I think anything can happen now. And I think anything can happen. Do I absolutely detest and hate the potential that radio could get moved? Yes. Because I think in basketball, being that close is important to the broadcast because so much is happening right then and there that you gain being that close to it. It would impact the quality of the broadcast. So for that, I hate it. And I hope it doesn't happen here. But at other places it will. Sandy and I met Jerry West in 2009 when he and his teammates returned to Morgantown for their 50th anniversary. Before the game, former Dean Bill Douglas took us on a tour of the then new Erickson Center. As we're getting ready to leave, he informed us that the team would be returning soon from a tour of campus for dinner. We were a 2-person greeting committee decked out in our finest Mountaineer garb. As the team got off the bus, Sandy and I greeted them as they returned to Morgantown, and each one of them was very happy, they said, to be home. Karen and Jerry West were the last 2 off the bus. I greeted him with, "Hey, aren't you Johnny West's father?" I was rewarded with that legendary Jerry West grin. This picture will always occupy a prized spot in our West Virginia room, signed by John S. Marshall, St. Clairsville, Ohio.
Always good to hear from John S. Marshall.
Absolutely. 3 guys, Philip from Philippi. I wanted to share a quick Jerry West story. As a boy, I grew up in East Bank. One day, a friend of mine and myself were shooting some basketball outside the junior high school. A strange man rode up and all but ran out at us and ran right toward him. He asked, "Is this where Jerry West played his high school basketball?" To us, this was the junior high. We laughed and we said no. He then said to us and reminded us that used to be the high school, right? We acknowledged that he was correct. He begged us to let us make one basket outside of Jerry's high school gym. It took a while, on a side note. That day I went home and I asked my dad about Jerry West. Then I read about him in the encyclopedia. Younger viewers are like that. Also successfully got my son to move his wedding time forward, who lets their fiance plan a wedding at the same time as the pit game. I will be starting at 1, and then before 3:30, I raised him right. Texter, I wanted to drop a note. This goes back to baseball. I wanted to drop a note how much fun I had with the 24 baseball team. I followed every game I could on ESPN Plus from Northern Kentucky, and then made it to Chapel Hill for the Super Regional. My 10-year-old and I booked flights, tickets, hotel, rental car, had a fantastic time in North Carolina. The boys battled their behinds off and showed they can compete with anyone. Thank you, Coach Mazey, for rebuilding the program into a top 25 program. I look forward to seeing what Sabes can do to elevate the program even further. I continue to invest financially and emotionally going forward. I'm still praying for a natty sometime in my lifetime. Me and my boy prior to game number 1. I don't know if we have that picture. Thanks for keeping me in the Mountaineer loop so far. Signed, Ryan, P7 listener from Covington, Kentucky. I'm sorry, don't have that picture. I apologize. But thank you, Ryan. Hey, 3 guys, listening to your episode with the legendary Oliver Straw, I, too, am an ice cube in my coffee guy. I'm an outcast in my own home because of that. I don't care. I don't have time to wait around for it to be drinkable. Thanks for that's for suckers and retirees. Now he's taking shots at people that drink hot coffee. My wife puts all this schmutz in hers like the rest of you clowns. My question for you is, you like coffee, is that right? Why do you need the rest of the dairy section poured into it? Well, this guy's taking some serious body blows here at Coffee People. The senator's coffee order sounds like the way Buddy the Elf takes his. The aggression toward us cubers will not stand, man. I love the show. Signed by Pete in Pennsboro.
You know what I would say to Pete, since I was directly called out in this?
Yeah.
Go back to line 4 of this text.
What did he say?
What's that line 4 say?
Line 4 would be, I don't care.
Don't care.
Yeah, he did.
Pete, that's how much I care about what you think about my coffee order. 0. You should all cap that thing. But thanks for the text.
Speaking of coffee orders, had Rusty over at my house yesterday.
What? You
Rusty,
to your house?
Rusty, who owns Mountaineer Roasting, Rusty.
Yeah, he's got a shop. Normally you go see him at the coffee shop.
He came to my house.
Reason?
Well, got this new espresso machine. And he offered generously to come over and what they call dial it in.
Offered generously. You brought it up. He wouldn't have known you had an espresso machine. You had to have told him that you bought a new machine.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I said, you think you might be able to pop over there and dial it up?
Unbelievable.
But it was a good deal for him.
Well, how was it a good deal from him? He needs you to go to the shop to buy the coffee.
I made him a loaf of bread. He walked into the house moments after I had taken it out of the oven for him. He dialed it in. I'm using his coffee, which you can buy on episode800.com. I use it. He did a fantastic job.
He got it right?
So
he giving you tricks?
Yeah, he did. A lot of tricks. You should see me froth milk. You got to put just enough, when you start that thing, just enough air needs to get into that frothing. I'll tell you what, I can make whatever you want. Want foam?
Can you do the design yet? Did he show you how to do a design?
I'm not going to say that I was an artist on. He did he did a flower for me when he made some.
Oh, he can do that?
Well, sure he can. He owns Mountaineer Roasting.
Well, I know, but that thing's gotten so big over there. I didn't know if he still had the ability there, if he'd lost it because he's handling so many other things.
He pulls shots like the rest of them. He pulls shots.
How's our coffee doing? Did you ask him? It's going well.
Really well.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah.
By the way, Pete from Pennsboro is not his real name. And I love his text. He's really creative and funny. It's not even Pete. He doesn't even live in Pennsboro. He works at United Bank. I know who you are, Pete. Fake Pete. Gentlemen, just finished my workout. I'm waiting for my wife to finish her class, listening to the podcast with Oliver Straw. Wanted to say what a delightful young man. He genuinely gets West Virginia and West Virginians. I can't wait to putting a slice of ham on my next chicken parm. So glad Tony mended fences with the folks down under. Dink from Bridgeport.
On that, we did have a wonderful visit with Ollie. We got to get him back. He's definitely going to be a repeat guy. I think the other important thing coming out of that, you should let the listening audience know, we're close. Barron is well aware now. The Baron is well aware of this podcast.
Yeah, he wrote to Oliver after we talked about the Baron. He wrote to him. So
getting closer to an Australian episode, live on site.
Baron, listen, dude, if you know anyone that could make that happen, like, do you go to like the Melbourne Tourism Commission and say, look, I got a couple of bloats. Is that what they call us?
I don't know that.
Couple of bloats.
Bloke, I think. There's a K in there.
Bloats. Blokes. Whatever. Over in the States that will really help generate commerce and tourism to the continent of Australia. And I need to bring them over. Maybe they have a couple of tickets. No to economy. It's minimum premium. I need business class. I'm not flying over there. It's got to be business. Texter. Hey, three guys before the game. Are we using
back up. Read how it's written.
Oh, hey, try guys before the game. Are we using pontoon and tri-tune properly? Why isn't a dual tune and tri-tune? As a customer and an occupant of Lou Wendell's International Port de Tune, I feel we should clarify the language. I love the show. Come host one from the Lou Wendell National Dock Convention Center sometime. Signed by Matt in Nitro. There he is.
Nice.
Look at that.
Nice.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Folks.
The Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, we'll have to get that. And we're all for going down there and having a big time. Gentlemen, I saw this in traffic today. I wondered if this was one of Brad's relatives. Iowa plate, I love Moth Man on the bumper sticker. As also an unrelated note, I attended the Southern Baptist Convention in Indianapolis. I wore my flying West Virginia polo, and I had several interactions with West Virginians now living all over the country, as well as a few folks who just commented on the flying WV. My favorite interaction was with the representatives at the Dallas Baptist University booth. I'll let you guess why. Signed by Evan in Iowa. So we knocked off those Dallas Baptisters, didn't we?
We did.
In the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Hello, three guys. Now that we're into the summer series, can we get some behind-the-scenes stories that you know but most of Mountaineer Nation doesn't? Things like who were the most freakish athletes you ever saw, who was the strongest, who was the biggest prankster, and who was the biggest troublemaker in a good way. Pick a category for each episode and tell your stories. I think we'll do that in the future. Can't do it today. Joe's was one of them. Brian, who we had here early, he was one of the most colorful guys
as you could tell.
Of all time.
Mm-hmm. We could have gone 3 hours with Joe's. I'd have to have him back. Yeah.
What I want to know, this texter says, and this is JD from the Southern Coalfields, who's also a good dude. He's really good. Why, this is what he wants to know more than anything. Why Pat White was not named the starting quarterback at the beginning of the 2005 season. Prior to the Louisville game, things were looking bleak. Then Pat comes in late during that game, and the next 4 years of Mountaineer football were as good as ever. How did Rich Rodriguez not realize that Pat was the person that should be the starting quarterback? How does one of the greatest players in WVU football history not be named the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season? There has got to be a story there, and I would love to hear it. Thank you very much, JD from the Southern Coalfields. So, fair questions, good questions. Just some random thoughts. Some to the pro of this, some to the left. So if you ever ask, like, why wasn't he the starting quarterback? So the simple answer is going to be that Rich and the staff didn't think that he was ready. 1. 2, Rich and the staff would say, he gives us, at that time, Adam Bednarik, gives us the best chance to win right now. 3 would be, they didn't completely trust him enough that he knew enough of the plays that they could feel comfortable in running.
But they knew enough to know to get him in the games because it wasn't like Bednarik was just the straight starter.
Correct.
They were both playing.
So those are 3 things. The other thing is, I forget who it was that we had in here, but they said players always know in the locker room before the coaches do. I can't remember who that was, but it was a pearl of wisdom, and they knew that it was Pat.
Mm-hmm.
That was one. The second part of that, Dan Lohman, who's getting his second mention on the podcast here today. So Dan works with us here, Emmy Award-winning video producer. Back then, in another era, which was 19 years ago, he shot practice. And this is before drones and before technology. His job at one time, Rich had an idea. I'd love to be able to get a video look of what the quarterback is seeing when he's out there. So Danny, who's very athletic, right? Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Across the bridge over there, 4-sport athlete at Morgantown High, Hall of Famer at Morgantown High, won a world's championship at Bethany, right? So Danny's job was this. He would take a handheld camera, which was a big thing back then to even have him small enough. He would lift it above his head. He would stay about 8 yards behind the quarterback. And then wherever the play went, he would run with the camera elevated like this. And then they would take that video and say, okay, what the hell is he looking at when he's running? Like, is he seeing it? Is he not seeing it? So anyway, so Danny was at every practice. Danny shot everything. And he would come back to me and go like, dude, I've told this story 100 times, maybe 62 times. He would say, dude, the Pat White kid? I go, yeah. He goes, now I'm not saying he's Major Harris, but I'm saying he's special, and he's got Major-esque things in him. So my reply would be, oh, come on, stop. He goes, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying he does some stuff that's like, whoa. I probably said at that time, well, if he was better, then he'd be playing. I don't think, to answer your question, JD, that it was like anything like sinister, like, hey, we're not going to play the kid. It's just like, football coaches are weird. Like, they're more conservative than they are, right?
Yes.
And so they want to cover their back. So if they feel like, hey, Bednarik can run 13 plays and Pat can only run 4 plays, we're going to run the guy that runs that.
Mix it in. Just mix it in. Make sure everything's good.
Right.
Eventually he got there.
Yeah.
Eventually got where he needed
to. Texter from St Albans, I received a very excited call from my daughter, JC, this morning, letting me know that one of her professors over here at the college had told her to send a resume to Dave regarding a possible internship to work on some design for a podcast called 3 Guys Before the Game. She knows I'm a faithful listener, and she couldn't wait to tell me. She is a fashion and design senior, and an internship is part of their graduation requirement. Whether it works out or not for her, I think it is amazing that you guys are giving students these types of opportunities. Thanks for all that you do and always for keeping me entertained. Signed by Craig in St. Albans. Yes, we do use WVU students. We've had some great success with the work that WVU students have done, whether it be fashion design. Now we're talking with the folks in the business school. We're thrilled about any kind of an opportunity or partnership that obviously gives a kid an opportunity to get something onto their resume or portfolio that works for them. And then obviously we get the help as well. So we're all for that. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a WVU student. I mean, if you're out there and you know a kid that's special, that could do some stuff for us remotely, just text us. What's the text line?
304.
Is that what this one is? No. 3044. What was our text? Hey, Austin, put the graphic up of 304-404-4083. 304-404-4083. If you got someone that you think is like super special that could help us, let us know. 3 guys, I've lived in the western end of Monongalia County my entire life, but I'm in Morgantown for some reason almost every other day. So I would think if I were going to run into one of you guys, that's where it was going to be. But I was boarding a flight in Key West, Florida, heading to Pittsburgh. And I noticed a gentleman on the plane with a West Virginia polo shirt on, and the more I pay attention, I see that it's none other than Tony. The last place I would expect him. After the flight, we landed in Pittsburgh, and I commented, wait a second, time out. After the flight, we landed in Pittsburgh. I told my wife we should have gotten our picture made. I love the summer series, Keep Up the Good Work, sung by Derek in Blacksville. Derek, talked with him there on that flight.
Yeah, how was that? Good?
It was great. I'm trying to think, was he wearing I don't know if he was wearing a West Virginia gear or not. It was good. It was good. Emergency exit row.
So I had occasion to travel here recently as well.
Yeah.
Was in an airport myself. Made sure to wear a Flying WV West Virginia shirt as I was traveling.
Sure.
Lo and behold, at our gate as well, I was out west. Out west. Had a gentleman say, "Hey, you West Virginia guy? You West Virginia?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in Morgantown." His son, getting ready to be a freshman here at the college.
Oh, going over school.
This was the Kelleher family. Noah, son, big sports guy, played football in high school, big sports guy, getting ready to enter engineering here, mechanical engineering.
Ooh.
Had a wonderful talk with them as we were waiting for our plane. It was delayed a couple of times. It helped pass the time. But Noah Kelleher.
They live here in state?
They're from Altoona.
Up there in PA.
Sure. Noah's going to be an incoming freshman, though, this fall.
And the dad watches the show? Or
No. Noah's our latest subscriber, though. Noah's on board now.
Noah's in?
It was just the Flying WV that caught their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Noah was excited. He was already representing West Virginia, had a West Virginia hat on.
Good.
He'll be down here.
So he's
excited for the Penn State game.
I was going to say, so he's not going to be cheering for Penn State even.
As a Penn State family.
Oh, they are.
He has already switched allegiances. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, a lot of them people up there in Altoona are Penn State people.
Yeah, enjoyed talking. Oh, the one other one, TSA guy.
Huh?
TSA guy had a wonderful experience with TSA security. Sometimes they get a rap. No, this was out west. Pittsburgh? This was out west. Major hub out west. Getting ready to walk through. You go one at a time through. Gentleman sees my shirt and says, "Hey," says, "I'm not from West Virginia, but I went to Fairmont State."
Get out.
He said, "Come on through."
He just gave you the clear.
Come on through.
Keep your shoes on. Keep your belt on. It's good.
So I had a slow start to my trip. In fact, I commented to my wife, "I'm surprised no one said anything here." I had a hat on most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We closed hard.
Yeah.
Closed hard. 5 or 6 different interactions.
Here's a good interaction. I was traveling for work, texter says, through Atlanta. That's a big airport. And I saw a dad holding his kids and his arms were full. I was about to say, "God bless you, man." Well, that dad was Jordan Leslie. I walked with Coach Leslie and his enthusiastic children. We talked all things West Virginia, including the Three Guys podcast. Man, for a lonely mountaineer in Utah, I could have not been happier. Mountaineer Nation feels a lot like Mountaineer family. I don't care what conference we're in. Let's keep this thing going. So that's Yogi Chris.
Sure.
Salt Lake City. And he's there with Coach Leslie and the kids. So a couple of things.
A couple Leslie mentions on the podcast.
Well,
today.
they get around. You got mom and dad down there at that church, and I don't think they have a worship band at that church. I think it's Old Testament. It just goes. And then Jordan, and I'm so happy that we rectified that chili situation.
Yes.
After that chili got spoiled because they left it up.
Good too.
It was.
If they want to make that again, I'm happy to receive that at any moment. That was excellent.
Well, now that I'm back into bread production, Leslie's going to be getting some bread.
Okay, good.
I opened
Can you give them 2 loaves and maybe get some chili back on the back
I opened
end?
up the bread store last weekend and we went hard. I made 8 loaves last Sunday. 8 loaves.
Well, get the Leslie some so we can get some more chili.
So, yeah, thrilled about that. But how about Yogi Chris in Salt Lake, now that West Virginia's in the same league as Utah?
Conference game.
They just announced last week Delta's got a direct flight, Pittsburgh to Salt Lake.
Oh, is that right?
Direct. Super nice.
See, conference affiliation goes a It has a lot of tentacles.
I tell you what, there's that Italian restaurant there in Salt Lake, Voltaire's, Valters. I would fly from Pittsburgh to Salt Lake just to eat at that restaurant.
Go eat
Turn around, just come back.
I have a friend out there this week. Sent me a picture, a recognizance from the Utah Stadium. They were inside the stadium.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful setting.
Yeah,
those are going to be good road trips. Playing at BYU and at Utah, I think fans will like that.
Earlier in the fall is better than late. Texter says, I ran into Ren Baker's wife's uncle at Disney World. He saw my West Virginia hat and said, hello, very nice gentleman. He said, if I see him, show him this picture. You probably will see him before I do. Tell him Bob and Holly said, hello. So he's there in Disney and he sees Ren's. So that'd be Heather's uncle. Heather's uncle is at Disney. That's Periopolis Phil. All right. Texter, question, which episode contains the most recent visit by Sean McDonough? Sean's never appeared on Three Guys. We've had him on Sportsline.
Yes.
I am going to, now that the NHL Stanley Cup's over, I'm going to reach out to Sean and see if he'll come on Three Guys.
That'd be great.
But can we do it?
Well, you tell me, he was your roommate.
No. Can we do it without me going into his imitation?
Well, what we can't do is I can't get through the full episode without chortling. Like coffee with him that one day at the hotel. It was hard to he's sitting right next to you.
Yeah. Wonderful young man. While watching the
video. Does he know you do an imitation of him? Because we didn't do it that day.
I don't think he does. He knows. He's got
a good sense of humor. He'd handle that.
Oh yeah. He knows Jason Benetti does one.
Yes. Benetti sounds like him, just in general.
Yeah, he does. I think Benetti's got a battle not sounding too much like Sean when he's doing games. Don't you think? Like now Benetti's doing the Tigers.
It takes me a minute to figure out which one of them's doing.
Yeah.
Because both excellent. Both as good as there are.
So because they add their bio notes about the player that they're talking about parenthetically. So they'll goes like, Brad Howe, former standout player at Wartburg College in Iowa. Iowa, a wonderful state, produces much corn. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It's high. That's how they do it. Same thing with McDonough, right? And he races behind the goal. Speaking of goals, he was a 3-time medal winner. You keep looking at your watch. This is way too long, isn't it? I'm sorry. Let me just go really quick.
This is a long episode.
It's really long. Let me go real quick. Watching the video about disc golf in Europe, I paused the video as there's this lady talking about disc golf in Croatia. Look at her. Look at her shirt. Does anyone know what the heck this shirt's for? She's got the state of West Virginia. She's in Croatia talking about disc golf.
That's a good one.
What are we doing? That's unbelievable. Texter, as promised, here we are on our Lou Wendell Marine pontoon boat listening to the Three Guys podcast. It's my first trip now that I'm retired. This is Sissonville CPA Judy Proctor.
Awesome.
She's fantastic.
That's awesome.
We met Judy. We spoke to the CPA people. No one there threw anything at me. And she now is officially retired. That was her last event when we spoke down there.
Yeah.
And so congratulations. Thanks for floating in a Lou Wendell pontoon. See how, go back to that picture. Might have been
a yacht.
Well,
look how big that thing is.
Go back to that picture if you would, Austin. Look how fast they're going. Look at that wake.
Fast and wall. Look how far away the seats are.
That's like about a 90-foot pontoon.
Who's driving that thing right now?
It's on autopilot. It just kind of goes. It just kind of goes.
Thanks, Judy.
Texter says, wherever I am, there we are. Super remote beach. I'm in Costa Rica. Local playing barefoot football wearing the old gold and blue. There he is again. That's Yogi Chris again.
Yogi Chris is everywhere.
Yogi Chris was in Atlanta with Jordan Leslie. Now he's in Costa Rica. Don't you think that Yogi Chris looks a lot like Dave Portnoy?
A lot.
Right? All right, last two ones. Silent majority P1 listener, Rob from Ripley. I just celebrated my daughter Aubrey's 21st in Nashville this weekend. Every band at every establishment that we go into in the first hour plays Country Roads. Everyone in the bar sang along. Made me proud to be a Mountaineer. I love you guys. Look forward to episode 801. P.S. Can I get a beard oil recommendation from the senator? Do you use beard oil?
I have an oil and it's almost like more like a gel as well.
Now, what's that do?
It softens it up. Helps maintain if you got some flyaways as it gets too long.
You get that from Rex?
No, Rex does not sell that.
Huh.
Rex does not sell that. We do talk beard maintenance every once in a while over there, but try and keep stuff in there to get it.
Rex knows about beards even though he doesn't have one?
Yeah, Rex knows about beards.
Well, that guy next to him has a beard.
Seth. Seth's got a beard. Like, I've got stubble. Seth has a beard.
Yeah, Seth could do a lot of different things. I mean, he could be a brewer because a lot of beer guys
See, I'd like to get some length like Seth. I can't get there. It starts, I can't handle it.
Last text, and what a dandy. Charlie from Midlothian. Tony, I just achieved perfection in the Kroger Fuel Points gamification saga. I filled up 3 vehicles using the maximum 35 gallons, and I paid a total, look at this, Brad.
Yeah.
He filled up 3 cars for 32 cents.
Excuse me?
35 gallons. Look at this. Look at that. Dude, look. 32 cents and 35 gallons. Hoppy, that works out to 0.009 cents a gallon. That's a wrap on the Kroger Fuel Points gamification. Thanks to Professor Vinny for the inspiration. Dude. This is entering into, this may be the longest one we've ever done. Dude, this is 2 hours and 7 minutes.
I'm sorry, how long?
2 hours and 7 minutes.
We've been going 2:07?
Yeah, your poor girls have been outside there. They've read.
Well, no, it's so long. They had to go. They had an eye appointment 30 minutes ago that you forgot I told you I needed to be out of here for. So I had to make other arrangements during the telethon here. So they almost missed it. They're long gone. They were gone like an hour ago.
You brought Laura in to pick them up, or
no, I had to go to the bullpen.
Would you go? You order them? Or you Uber?
I had to go to the bullpen, get them over there.
We hadn't done textual healing in a month.
This is 2:07.
2:08 now.
You might want to cut it after Jozwiak and then make textual healing a whole nother episode.
Listen, I'll tell you what I just did, and this was unintentional, and I did not do this for you, Michael, but I got you to do that doggone dog groomer and back twice.
This is like in another state.
Hit the music, man. We got to go.
That was 2:07?
Used to be. It's 2:08, now at 2:09.
Close this thing up.
You know what, man? He's gone so often now. We didn't. I guess, do we rename it now? Is it just 2 guys before the game?
No, we still have third because Joe's was here. So we always have a third guy before the game. So
okay, but the other
guy. You talking
guy,
about the other guy that's been here?
He used to come. He doesn't come.
What was his name?
I don't even remember, man.
I haven't seen him in about 6 months.
If I saw him, I would be able to see who it is. Thank you very much. 3 Guys Before the Game brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Go for good times. Go for Gomart. Go to gomart.com to get your rewards card or just download the app. And 3 Guys brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St Albans. They're the best. They sell family fun. And what better time of the year to enjoy your family? Do it now while the weather's nice. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. That'll do it for us. Special thank you to Brian Jozwiak. If you do have occasion to get involved with his events this coming week, please do, as he continues for the 34th year to help WVU Medicine Children's Hospital. Austin Wright, our producer. We'll be back again at some point, but I guarantee you this, it won't be for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us.